everybody. Hello, everybody. This is Gabriel Show here. Now then, I have been up for quite a while, and I just caught up on season 4 of My Hero Academia, and started watching Hitman Reborn again. Now, in saying that, I caught up on My Hero Academia and watched recent episodes, and I now figured out what I was going to do for this part. Because I did I did ask people on Discord so they know somewhat what's going on, but let me get into this now. Okay. So, directly afterwards, everyone would meet up, and people were actually asking, how did things go? Deku would just say that, him and Bakugo kind of dealt with the 0 pointer in their area. Really? What happened? We blew apart its legs, and it fell backwards. Oh, really? That's pretty intense. So how'd it go for you guys? Well, we actually did very good, but as they are immediately stopped, you see about a couple people in front of them, and let's say this is Monoma from Class 1B. He's saying that their quirks are pretty impressive, but he heard something back in the discussion room. As he would immediately point to Deku, saying that he heard that he was a conduit. Is that true? Yeah, you got a problem with it? Well, I kinda do. That day, during the explosion, my house burned down, and I lost quite a lot of things, including almost losing my own life. You don't deserve being a hero. And you do? What's your quirk? Oh, my quirk. Well, it's copy. What do you mean, copy? I can copy anything that I touch. Oh, I get it. So you're just some cheap knockoff of someone better. Got it. As Monoma immediately just says that that's not true. This is whenever everyone with Deku would speak up. Kirishima would immediately harden his arm and immediately just drain concrete from the area nearby, saying that he's not the only conduit here. The rest of us are hybrids. Oh, so you guys actually do exist. I thought they were just fairy tales. So is that all of you? Well, yeah, except for me. As Bakugo would walk forward, he would just say that he has 2 quirks, and he better not make him use them. Oh, well, I better give you a round of applause then. As he looks down at Bakugo's hand, seeing the cybernetic. Bakugo would immediately just bring it up, saying, it's just as powerful as the real thing, why don't I show you? As he immediately goes to throw a punch, Deku would just grab Bakugo's wrist, telling him that, you might not want to do that. You'll get dirty. What do you mean? Well, it'd be rude to have them have to scrape this piece of trash off the sidewalk, so let's just leave. As they all walk away. Over the next week, it would go on that they got first. They were some of the top scoring students in the entrance exam. This is whenever they would all be called in, and they would be told that they have to talk with Principal Nezu. Nezu, he would actually talk with them, and he's telling them that he is aware of their specific abilities. He's aware that they are conduits, and that by taking the entrance exam, one of you, as he looks straight at Deku, was called out for it. He understands the circumstances behind them, but they are not at fault. So they will be allowed at UA, just if things do get too bizarre or strange, and people essentially start threatening you or start doing all this with you just to let the teachers know. Or the teachers will tell us. Now, they would actually leave and head off to class, because this was probably an hour before class, so they would all arrive early. They would meet Yaoyorozu, and this is whenever the whole commotion would go on, where people are talking in class, and people are avoiding Deku, but they are talking with Bakugo. They would just go on saying that they saw him during the entrance exam, and it was pretty cool, but as this is whenever Uraka introduces herself to Deku. She sees him, and she's actually really surprised, saying that she wasn't aware that there was a conduit, or he was a conduit. It was quite impressive what he can do, though. What exactly are your abilities? Oh, well, as Toru would speak up, she would just tell her that, oh, this is Deku. He basically can copy other conduits' abilities. Really? Wait, how? Hang on. Well, I can tell you, but you probably may not like it. Oh, what do you mean? Well, as Kirishima would walk over, he would just say, quite a few of us here are conduits. In fact, Deku's the only pure conduit here. As Uraka immediately goes from curious to complete shock. Everyone else hears this thinking, wait, there's more than one conduit here? As they somewhat start crowding around Deku, actually asking him exactly what can he do. Deku would just say that he can copy other conduits' abilities, although they are weaker, he does train them. And he's not sure why, but he thinks since he is copying and pasting powers, he also does do the same thing for memories of when they awaken them. As Shinsho would immediately just say, that's pretty interesting, but as Deku turns, he sees this boy with his sleeves rolled up, sitting at the back of the class with burn marks on his face and arms. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, but why? What's your conduit so specific about? Well, I just call my conduit, Power Sponge. Really? Well, yeah, as Deku is interrupted, they would be told that they are going to be doing not combat, but they are going to be doing a physical test. They are all pretty annoying, and it is somewhat boring what they're talking about. Although interesting, because I have never met a conduit. As he looks straight at Deku saying that you all are going to be treated like regular students here, so no need to worry about anything like that. Although he was informed by Nezu that they were supposed to be keeping it somewhat on the down low. Deku and a few people would actually speak up, saying that they're not afraid of their abilities, so why should others? As people look at Todoroki, they would immediately think, wait, more? Alright, well kid, it's your business. As they would go to the locker rooms and change. They are actually quite surprised at how muscular quite a lot of people are. They're actually asking Kirishima exactly what are their abilities. As you see, let's see. Let me get the class roster. I was gonna make a joke, but I was gonna say let me get the class roster. And I was gonna do a pervy Mineta joke, but Kirishima just immediately seals up the wall and punches Mineta in the nuts. But I'm pretty sure he might have died. I know at least that Yama died in that dumpster fire. Anyways. Oh yeah, I'm still recording. I'm leaving that in. Anyways. Let's say that event happens. Or at least it was Kaminari who did it. And this is whenever he would just say that he can control anything made of cement. Along with Toru and Kendo, their conduits are air and neon. But you also have Todoroki, who he has a ice conduit. There are quite a few powerful people. And it doesn't matter. Anyways, we need to get out and change. As they would all change, this is whenever they would immediately go outside. And you have Mr. Aizawa saying that they'll need to do a combat test. A physical test. So, throw the ball, kid. As he tosses the ball to Deku, Deku immediately just brings his hand up, absorbing some air, and he also does outstretch his hand, focusing and absorbing some smoke from a nearby building. As soon as he does that, that confuses people, and Deku is actually holding both of these abilities. Now, he immediately just sandwiches the ball between both of his hands, and he has the air and the smoke basically tearing apart the muscle fibers in his arm, as he cocks his hand back and immediately throws the ball. There is a sonic boom, as Deku, he let the ball go with basically like a smoke missile. But as soon as that happened, the ball basically got pushed forward by the force of air exploding behind it. Basically, at least making it go. Conduits are usually stronger than regular people. Math. Annoying. Let's say about 15 to 1700 feet. Or meters. Now, people are actually quite impressed, as Deku would just walk back and everyone would begin. Uraka would still get first place in this, as we get to the 50-meter dash. Ida, he's still paired up to go against Deku, but Deku, he slips his hand into his pocket, and people watches his arm glows pink. This is confusing, as Deku and Toru are paired up to race. They immediately get in the running stance, and as soon as they take off, people watch as their body turns into a giant flash of light, as they are both immediately across the 50 meters. Scoring 4.1 seconds. They would score around 2.9. Both. But let's say Toru actually scores a 2.6 or a 2.7, if not a 2.3, since this is her ability. Yes, Deku has trained it, but he has never mastered the abilities to her extent, because he's pulling himself in every other direction. Now then, Bakugo using One For All, he would try and throw the ball, but that would not work. And let's just say that in Clash rankings, you have Uraka in first place for the ball throw, Deku second, Bakugo third after getting healed by Recovery Girl, and finally using One For All, along with a lot of other people getting in first place. Shinsho would not actually do the worst, as I need to do the class list real quick. I need to do that. Okay. I'm going to do something later on in the series, so for the sake of it, let's say that Denki, basically the guy with the electricity quirk, he is kicked out of Class 1A and put into Class 1B. Or, yeah, actually, I don't think I need to expel anyone. Alrighty, I guess I'm not expelling anyone. Because Shinsho's already in the class along with Kendo, so let's just say that President Mike Aizawa didn't need to expel anyone because, hey, these conduits are basically outpacing everyone. So he would do that, and Momo would just say that she expected as much. Now then, let us cut to the combat test. People are paired up with one another, and you have Deku and Uraka against, let's say, actually no, fuck. Now then, after the physical test, this is whenever All Might, he would announce one day that he is here and they're going to be doing a combat test. As everyone's in shock that it's All Might, a lot of the people that already knew him, they would just greet him casually by just saying, "Oh, hello, All Might. Ah, it's good to see that you are all here." All? Well, yes. Quite a few of them, in fact, are actually here. I should have expected as much. Along with quite a few new faces. Now, let us begin. I will be your combat instructor for today. You all are going to be doing some heroes versus villains training. There are going to be multiple different teams, along with heroes, 2 of you playing heroes, 2 of you playing villains. So, what shall we do? Alrighty, I guess we shall announce teams. Izuku Midoriya and Uraka versus Kirishima and Todoroki. Oh yes, this is going to be a rather interesting matchup. So, I guess we're paired up together. Yeah. By the way, I was meaning to ask you one question. Oh yeah, what is it? What's your quirk? 'Cause you kinda just threw that ball into space. Along with I saw you holding back the 0-pointer. Oh, well, I call my quirk gravity. Basically means I can manipulate it. Oh, okay. As these two would immediately walk into the building, Deku, he's wearing the standardized uniform. However, this time, the fight is taking place in a factory. Now, as that's going on, they are all walking by, and Deku, as soon as they walk through the building, they would immediately get met with the wall in front of them closing off. As they are immediately just met with the room spinning around them and turned into a maze. Deku would just say this is classic Kirishima. What do you mean? Oh, we call these combat mazes back at the facility. Facility? Yeah. A lot of us are conduits, so we usually meet up together and train a lot. In fact, I'll show you a little trick he does. As Deku immediately just charges up his smoke ability, he immediately just blasts the ground above him and immediately just jumps upward. The ground above him. He glasses the roof above him and immediately just breaks off of the box, getting on top of it, saying that usually he doesn't make these things all the way through. He would bring them to the rooftops, but that requires too much concrete. It's quite a bit of work. As he immediately switches over, the room would suddenly gloss over, and fire that is slowly starting to freeze over. Deku would realize that this entire building is going to be littered with ice. So, he's trying to think. As he sees a chain hanging, he immediately grabs it, and he actually whips it around. Thinking, okay, this is a bit too long, as he snaps it in half, and he just begins spinning it around. He immediately just covers his hand in smoke as he hits the ice with a chain, breaking through the ice. He's just thinking that, well, he's always wanted a weapon, but this is a bit too good. I'm not even sure exactly how this works, but I'm not going to question it. Now, as they would break their way through the ice, Deku is asking exactly how effective is her gravity manipulation. She would just go on saying that it's very good, and she would immediately begin floating. As that is going on, she touches Deku, and Deku immediately starts floating up into the air as they begin going up. My sister's bird is screaming. Now then, this is whenever Deku, he immediately just suddenly things feel a bit weird in his head, but he doesn't question it. He just thinks that it's the thing about the quirk, since she did mention that it makes her dizzy, but he doesn't care. Now, as he's thinking about this, they would get to the top floor, and Kirishima, he is immediately covered in boulder armor along with Deku being able to see. His skin is now hardened because of the way his eyes are. Deku immediately just thinks that this isn't going to be easy, as he immediately just brings his hand down to the floor, absorbing the concrete, and actually creating his own set of armor. People are watching saying, wait, so they know? Wait, so I'm confused on all this. As Alma would say, well, I don't expect you to know everything, but these two usually train together. In fact, a lot of the other children and actual kids here do. So Deku has a lot of knowledge about their abilities and tactics, along with skill. But that is his fatal shortcoming. Because he has so many abilities, he is missing gaps in knowledge that the other children can fill in, but they just choose not to do. Choosing to let Deku learn on his own, and basically helping him in the process. As Deku immediately rushes towards Kirishima, Kirishima would just move his leg as a lot of spikes just start pointing out of the ground and actually going for Deku. Uraka actually just essentially floats up into the air as she tries throwing Kirishima around, throwing the rocks back at him. As Todoroki walks into the room and he sees this, he immediately just uses his conduit and actually starts blasting ice towards her. As soon as the ice leaves his hand, this is whenever she immediately just holds it in the air as she's holding it back. Todoroki sees this as he actually increases the power. He is immediately just starting to frost over on his arms, and she's seeing this. She's telling him that that's not going to work, and the cold cryokinesis won't help him. As he immediately turns on his quirk, she sees the ice on his arms melting away as he's actually putting more power into it, and the room is both simultaneously being hot and cold. As soon as a piece of the ice touches her, it immediately just burns very hot, and Deku would see this. As he turns his head, Kirishima would bash him across the face, knocking away his armor and breaking the concrete around his own hand. Deku, he immediately just throws a concrete barrage straight at Kirishima, actually penetrating his armor. Deku immediately turns and he switches off to Neon, and he immediately just does his ultimate move, where he bursts the room in neon and everything starts floating. Kirishima and Todoroki are confused as Toru goes on saying, oh, so he's using that skill. Oh no. Everyone, please shut your eyes. Everyone's confused as Deku immediately just reappears as three little very flashy dots, and he immediately just reforms, floating in the air as he immediately just blasts as much neon in front of him as possible. Everyone's confused as All Might would actually have to turn off the camera, saying that, okay, that was very, very bright. Are any of you okay? Oh, we're all fine. Okay, good. As he turns it back on, you just see the aftermath being a lot of holes and a lot of walls. And Todoroki, he is actually frozen himself over, trying to protect himself. As he starts thawing out, all you hear is heroes win, as Uraka touched the bomb. And Deku is actually still fighting with Kirishima, about to throw a left hook, as Kirishima already has his hand in Deku's gut. As these two break apart, Deku would just say, well, good match, man. Dude, I can't believe you did that. It was crazy. Todoroki would walk up saying that was very stupid, dude. You could have hit the bomb. Oh, well, yeah, About that, she kind of knew where it was. How? Oh, I just looked into you guys' heads. As she says this without thinking, Deku is immediately saying, "Wait, I thought you said you had gravity manipulation." Oh, it's a bit more than that. How do I explain it? There's different ways of doing it. I call it gravity manipulation because it's basically like telekinesis. Telekinesis? As she goes on lying that she is basically using a different form of gravity manipulation. Whenever she uses all 5 fingers, she does that, but she actually has telekinesis, as she likes to call it. However, she doesn't like peeking into people's heads, but since this was an incident that she needed to, she did so, and she's really sorry for it. As she goes on apologizing, this is very confusing. Deku's just thinking, well, she's not the only one lying then. Now, that is where I'm going to be leaving things off with, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and have an amazing day. I will catch you guys later.